Welcome to TiffDoesLoans podcast. So today I have Don Barad. How are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for coming. He has like 50 years in the industry. So we're going to pick his brain a little bit. And it's a wide range. Like now you mainly focus in hard money, like, giving the money, financing, but he's done development, fix and flips, all that good stuff. So thank you so much for coming.
It's a pleasure to see you.
And why don't you just kind of start, into your journey? Like, how did you get into real estate? We'll definitely go over some of the markets that you weathered. Definitely been a crazy fluctuation.
Well, for the last 40 years, I've been up and down at least 4 times.
Okay.
With the economy, with financing.
All the different
banking,
market shifts.
Markets up, market down.
Which one was the worst?
I think 28.
Or the 08?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was the worst.
The worst. It was expected because I could see that properties are being overfinanced.
Okay.
People that are not qualified are getting loans based on their
just stated income.
Stated income that they never had.
Just walk in.
And the bank and all the industry closed their eyes, and they just gave money.
Yeah.
I remember I had a processor in the office that used to get $3,000 a month, and then suddenly another lender offered their $10,000 a month, and I could see that the market goes down, because people, they don't know what they're doing.
It's just wild when it's like, when you think about it, like, what did you guys, what did they think were going to happen?
Yeah. And at that time, my office used to do also conventional lending, subprime and so on. And I saw it, and I pulled out from conventional lending and went into hard money loans.
Okay.
And we
back
did,
in 08?
Back in 08, and we did actually up to 70% to the value.
Yeah.
And apparently in different places, for example, in Las Vegas, when you talk about homes, they went from 700,000 to 180,000.
Oh, wow.
So usually in regular market, you expect 20% up and down, which is normal. It depends where the market is, which city is it. Yeah. Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, Bel Air is crazy. It can go from $5 million house to $20 million house, and then go back to $10 million. So 2008 was, I think, the worst.
Out of all of them, yeah.
Out of all of them. I think that...
what were you doing at that time?
Were
you in loans or...
I actually...
or like fix and flipping? Like what
well, I did mostly hard money.
Okay, at that time.
Because before that, I quit doing conventional lending and refinancing because I saw that this market's gonna...
Like it was just
gonna go. I mean, I could see the writing on the wall way before it happens. So from 2008... I managed to gain a lot of properties because we took them in foreclosure.
Yeah. That's what I hear a lot of, like, the strategy.
But the problem was that you didn't have tenants. Mm-hmm. So you had to hold the properties. And this is number one rule in construction or in real estate is to have a staying power. Because if you can weather the storm, then you come back a lot richer than you have been before. Yeah. But if you can't...
But the storm is several years.
The storm is several years, you know.
The storm is several years. I mean, we're seeing it now. Like, I feel like people that were in it before, they already knew that. But even people coming in, like, when you get to year 2, year 3, like we're kind of in now. But it's like, if you look back... They're all several, like 2008 when that crashed. The more I've interviewed quite a few people at this point that went through it, but I think 2012 was like that.
2012 started to balance,
yes,
and from that point it went up crazy.
Yeah.
So many small companies became large companies,
Yeah.
and they had the funds from different lenders, from different institutions, and it changed. And right now, actually, another time that the market shifted was at the pandemic time.
Yes.
The pandemic caused a lot of damage.
Yeah, but
And
that was a good shift. Everybody's making a ton of money.
that's right. But,
Yeah.
but you know
we
what?
like those shifts.
But you know what it
I'm ready
did?
for another one.
It devalued the dollar
Yeah.
because people got free money, money they didn't earn. If
Yeah.
you look at contractors or people that had many
Well,
employees,
that always bothered me too because I was making more than what they were giving me.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the bar at the time and they closed and they're like, here, $600. And I was like, I would make more than that on a Friday night. Like,
Yeah.
let me work. Like, but I also knew people that didn't make that were making that. So that's where so they didn't want to go back to work because they were making more not doing it. But for me, I was making more working. Obviously, I wanted to go back. But so you had that off balance. Huh?
look, if you look, for example, at different contractors,
Yeah.
because general contractors were like a necessity
Yeah.
to the government, and they gave them a lot of money. And then many contractors bought boats and expensive cars and RVs
Yeah.
so on, and that's where the money went. Because they really didn't need the money, because in the middle of construction, you got paid. You didn't need all the additional help from the government. And then people got money for nothing, sits at home. And I remember $4,000, I think it was. Every family got $4,000.
I don't know. I didn't have a family, so I didn't get that. I got
Yeah.
like $600 a week or something. So
yeah.
I got.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I think if you like had kids, you got extra.
yeah.
Yeah, but I don't like that stuff. I'd rather work. So but even I was one of the ones. I worked in the bars, so we lost our job that first weekend. We were in a big bar.
That was terrible.
So then I became, but even like it was a couple months, that's when I became a loan officer. So then, because they took my job away and I was like, okay, cool. Like it was cool for a couple of weeks. I definitely, we went to Palm Springs and I lounged in the pool for like 5 weeks and got a really nice tan. And then I went back and I was like, what am I going to do? And and then I used that little $600 check that they were giving and I got my course. But I feel like a lot of people didn't start. But yeah, so the pandemic, so we'll go back pandemic. So what were you doing at that time? How did that affect you and your business?
Well, it didn't affect me much.
Were you
because,
more hard money at this time too, or development?
I did hard money.
Okay.
And but at that time I started consulting different construction companies in different situations.
Okay.
So I got involved in with another construction company, electrical company, that they had major issues, not as far as work, but they got into lawsuits.
Yeah.
The project didn't go well, and they called me to solve their problem and deal with attorneys and legal staff that they were not used to it and they didn't know how to handle it.
Okay.
So over the years, I've been involved directly or indirectly in many lawsuits.
Okay.
I mean, if you do public works and you work for the government or the city or the state or any type of
You're always going to get sued.
You always get involved in different suits. You need bonding companies to that are behind you, and you have to behave. And sometimes you get into different altercation. You have also lawsuits when you try to develop a piece of property, and then the city says, no, you cannot. you got the permits and everything, and then they put it out
And then they
from
try.
under you. And they, a lot of developers.
Are they able to do that?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That's why you have attorneys that deal with the city.
okay. Yeah.
Just on this subject. Or over here, it's the coastal commission. So if you wanna develop something along the coast, I mean, you have to deal with the coastal commission, and they might give you a very hard time, and then you need a consultant like me that
comes in that will
that comes in
mitigate
and
everything.
and deal for them with the coastal commission in order to expedite it. And you cannot cut corners. You
No.
need to have. I mean, if you wanna build something in Laguna Beach, for example.
Well, they're really strict. I don't think they let anybody.
I mean, you have to take under consideration 5 years from the moment that you bought the property.
Wow.
Maybe in 5 years you can build over there.
Yeah, but they
So
make it a
those-
lot more difficult than a lot of other places.
They're making it difficult.
Yeah.
But for example, a former partner of mine spent a lot of money on building condos in Huntington Beach,
Okay.
and made the plans, permits. It was a big project.
Yeah.
He had investors in the project. And then he goes one day to a hearing at the city, and he was sure that he's getting it. I mean,
Yeah.
the council people were in his favor and everything else, and then they declined. And then he's stuck with a project that he cannot build. He's got investors behind him that he needs to satisfy. They want their money back because people
Yeah.
are getting panicked right away. And I mean, we have a situation
Now,
like
what can you do? Can you?
What you
if they
can do?
won't- Yeah.
Again,
give them money back.
Again,
Okay. Get
staying
you?
in power, staying in power.
Okay.
I mean, eventually you will be able to negotiate it and maybe build a different project.
So they're basically
But-
just saying no to get more money out of you, and
No, they have their own reasons. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, those are politicians. Those are not developers, and they don't understand.
so then, so it's not like the deal is dead. You just have to go through more
Yeah,
negotiations,
and that's why you
more
have to
push
have.
and pull. Yeah, that's why
Exactly.
you have to have you. or
That's
something.
why you need to have more money
Yeah.
to support the situation.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. I built a 10-unit building.
Okay.
You can see it. It's on the corner of 10th Street and PCH in Huntington Beach. It's a
Okay.
white building. It's a beautiful building. That was like mid-'80s, actually late 80s.
Okay.
And I got the permits. I got everything. And I started digging, and I sold the dirt, not the dirt, the sand, which is valuable. So I thought, I'm making money on digging. And then suddenly, in the middle of digging, they stopped. The contractor stopped digging and told me, listen, I cannot go on because you have over here drilling mud. What is drilling mud? It's when they pull out the oil pipes,
Okay.
they are leaking, and then the soil is contaminated.
Oh no.
So you need to go to the EPA. The EPA makes you send trucks to Arizona or to a different place, and it depends how many trucks. And if you figure out that you're going to make like $200,000 or $300,000 net profit out of it, just getting rid of the dirt will cost you $400,000.
Oh man.
There are solutions for those problems too,
Yeah.
but that's a different story.
Yeah.
So a developer originally it's not a profession. It's a personality. It's a personality. Somebody that wants to take the chance and develop.
Yeah. Because you just never know
You
what's
never
going
know.
to pop up
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
land. You can get all the tests and everything. Just the same thing with when you're purchasing a home and you're going to, you can do the inspections, but if you plan to remodel, you just won't know until you go to.
You open the wall and then
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, and you might
won't know until you open the wall.
just think that you open a wall
As
and
long
there's
as you set the expectation, and people are developing all over, they love it.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
as long as you have the money and the consultants, it's
absolutely.
you wouldn't recommend just developing maybe on your own or. You definitely want to have that team in place and
Look,
set the proper expectations, sounds like,
right, you need expertise. You need to
Yeah.
learn from people that did it
that have
before.
done it. Yeah.
And it has to do. You have to. People are trying to invest or develop something with certain expectation, and if it doesn't work like that, or something goes wrong, then they quit and
Yeah.
they lose. I mean,
Again, that's the mindset, though, that's all over it. That's not real estate. Not
yeah,
just,
absolutely.
yeah. Not
Because a
just real
typical
estate.
developer is not somebody that came out with a PhD
Yeah.
in construction or in business or anything like that.
Yeah.
You'll never see a professor have his own business and develop.
Yeah.
So it's in the personality. You have to be ready to take chances, and you have to take smart chances.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make stupid decisions if you have a rich father.
Yeah.
So then I have a situation right now with a certain person that his father is very rich. And within the last few years, he managed to lose $5 million and get in trouble just but not asking
Like how to do it.
how to do it. And he was lucky, because his father covered it up. Otherwise, he had
It would
lender
have been tough.
and
Yeah.
investor
And we
going
all
after
don't.
him. Yeah,
Most of us don't have the father that could just cover it up.
that's true.
So you have to get the consultants. And then also, as a consultant, like say the new investors, you help them. You can also help if they want to like set up syndications and stuff. So if they are going into their first like big project, not only can you assist with kind of on the construction cost and the budget, but you can also assist them with building the syndications.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, a syndication is also, I mean, you have to vet your investors.
Yeah.
Because if you see an investor, it's a psychological move, because if you see the investor is too greedy, if he wants to get his money fast, if he's going to put pressure on you, I mean, you don't want to deal with those kind of people.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to sign. I mean, first of all, they have to be qualified to be an investor.
Yeah.
That means that if they lose their money, they lose their investment in a certain project, they have what to live on, and that's not
That's not
the
what
money.
they're relying on. You definitely
Yes.
want to vet
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
And if they understand the risk
Right.
that they are entering, it is still an investment. So instead of blaming, especially if
Exactly.
something goes on with the property, and like you said, if they, building stalled, then that's when, if it's somebody that is emotionally tied to that money appearing earlier, then they will start to kind of go
Exactly.
more on an emotional
Exactly.
rant.
Because when something goes wrong, people panic.
Yeah.
You can see the people are panicking. I mean, you can see people panicking right here with all the right now with the tariffs and everything
Yeah.
else. I mean, what's going to happen? I lost 50% of my
Everybody's
401k.
really paused right now.
Yeah.
I'm seeing people start to move again, but usually we would have already had this shift earlier in the year. Like we're almost to May, and now I see people starting to make moves because it was like an election year, and there's been so many drastic changes that are getting into place. I'm seeing it. It's just been a little postponed, but I'm seeing people are starting to make the moves. I just feel like usually it's a little earlier in the year. Like we are almost at half a year. Like it's already almost June. Like we're in the mid-April. Like it's, so I am seeing that people are still a little paused, but hopefully it's still going to be a wild summer.
Look, I see right now. I'm consulting a service company.
Okay.
A service company that does plumbing, heating, air conditioning,
Yeah.
fire, and they get a lot of jobs, because they service
They do all the air.
what?
Yeah, all the air.
Yeah.
Like that.
And I just we had a meeting yesterday, and I just saw that most parts of the plumbing that they use, like water heaters and stuff like that, replacement things like that, went up about 10%.
Wow.
I mean, it depends where it comes from and so on and so forth. But this is all temporary.
Yeah.
A
That's
real-
what I think too.
Real estate is like that. I mean, you could buy a house in Beverly Hills in 1970 for $50,000.
Yeah. And now it's like millions.
Now, the same house that you bought for $50,000 is $5 million. Okay. Now, over the years, the 50,000 became 70,000, 150,000, 300,000, $1 million, and then suddenly the economy changed and the house went to 700,000. And then it goes up again to 1.5 million, 2 million, 3 million, and then 1 million. So, I mean, you can see the formula goes up and down, but the
And we
formula
haven't
always,
had that down in a while.
the formula always goes
Back
up.
Yeah.
Now, right now,
It's still
acco-
going up.
according to the history,
Yeah.
every 10 years there is a gap.
So what are we on? Are we on the 10-year to go down? I don't see it going down.
Right now we are in kind of a weird situation. You don't know.
That's like
where
an
the-
understatement of the last like 5 years of our life. We are in a weird situation.
where
I
the
feel
wind
like.
will shift. We don't know.
Yeah.
But we're gonna keep on working. I mean, I'm talking to one person and says, well, I lost 50% of my 401k. And I said, you didn't lose anything. I speak to another person, and he says, now I'm buying. I lost here, I lost there, but I keep on buying, because it will go up.
It will go up.
You know?
Yeah, I just had that talk with the client today because they're like, when's the time? And I was like, look, if you can afford it, the time is now, because if the prices aren't going to go down. And a lot of people have been waiting on that, but it's just the rates are going to go down, but the demand is going to go higher. The economy is going to start to get better, and people are going to continue to buy. It's going to keep climbing up. I don't see it going down. I don't really see that even the economists that I follow, that's really in the, that's really been posted. So I don't see that downturn. I see it going up. And I was like, now, but our appreciation is going to keep going up, and you're in California, so as soon as you can get into it, and I just had that conversation with him today, so kind of, I was like, it might be a little tight for a little while, but then the good news is that when the rates do go down, now you have appreciation, and now you could just call me and then to refinance when everybody else is running around throwing an additional $50,000 on top.
Well, when you're talking about refinance, let's go into another subject.
Yes.
We have debt and we have equity.
Yep.
You started to talk about developing.
Yep.
So when you develop, you need the money, to buy the land, and the bank will not give you 100% on any develop. And maybe 70%.
Yeah.
Maybe
if it's
65%.
land, they're doing 50. Yeah.
Land is 50.
Land is 50. But if it's
but
a
let's
loan,
assume that
70.
70%, 65% the bank will give you. But they will not give you unless you are qualified. And you have to fit in this square perfectly. Otherwise, you won't get anything.
Yeah.
But you have to come up with the 30% or 35% before you go to the bank. And you don't have it. What do? You go to investors and you make them kind of limited partners, and that's a risky money for them because they are becoming
especially newer
a
investors.
second position
Yeah.
Or sometimes a third position behind the initial investment. It depends on the PPM.
Yep.
So, so this is high risk money.
Yeah.
And if you buy notes or you invest in notes and trust deeds, they might be second position, they might be first position. Okay, it's a safer investment. The second position right now is going up because of the value that went up so much. So anything you do, it's risky. I like notes. I mean, most of properties that I have, I bought
So
the
buy and sell the mortgages.
I,
Yeah.
I bought the mortgage, and sometimes foreclosed, and sometimes got paid. I mean, you can buy notes in a discount.
That's
Somebody
been
needs to get rid
a
of
hot
his
topic
position.
lately.
Somebody needs to get rid of his position. He needs the money. Okay, so you get a discount, and his note might be at 10% or 9%, and you can now get 14%
Yeah.
on the money that you gave him. So. So when we are talking about development, construction, lending, it's like a whole world, you know.
Yeah.
And each part of it is a world by itself.
Yeah. So you just got to get out there and find the niche.
Yeah. I mean,
Just find.
if you wanna, yeah. Look,
I like loans. Yeah. I want
Yeah.
to. My first investment, I wanted to be an Airbnb in Texas. So that's my plan. But I have been hearing a lot.
what do you mean you want to be in Airbnb?
No, I want my first investment to be an Airbnb in Austin.
Why Austin?
I definitely, I have I'm already licensed out in Texas, but I do have a plan later too to.
Oh, you want to move
be
to
half.
Texas?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be half and half. I can't leave my beach right now, but eventually kind of set it up in that sense. But Austin is also somewhere where the Airbnbs are still striving and probably going to be striving a long time.
By the way, Airbnb is a kind of a dangerous investment.
Yeah, and I've talked to kind of some people about that lately, especially because you got to be careful the cities and the counties. Like, say you have an excelling Airbnb, and then they change the rules, and then your investment goes to a halt. But also, it's like there are certain areas that they're probably not going to change. You know, you just have to be a little more cautious about it. But even if that could be in 5 years, 10 years, and in that time you're going to make more money doing that. So you might as well just, again, it's like a risk, but isn't it a risk willing to take if you're going to like double, you could be double tripling what one rental would do if you're in a high area. You could be making thousands above. Like maybe it would only be a couple of years, maybe when they stop it, but I still feel like that's the industry, you know, it's just a risk. You could still be making that money.
Okay.
Until they
now,
do it.
when you're talking about an area,
Yeah.
I mean, for example, California.
Yeah. Well, California.
California is a high risk and high profit.
Yeah.
High risk
But
and
that's
high profit.
why they have all these rules, but it's the highest appreciation.
But I heard lately about people that own Airbnbs that they got sued. Look, when the attorneys are getting involved in a situation,
Yeah.
everybody's
But I thought
losing.
you said everybody gets sued. It's just a
No,
part
no,
of
no,
the,
no. I'm talking
Like in
about.
every industry.
Right now. We're talking about a specific field,
Yeah.
which is Airbnb.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I heard that there are people that are going into your Airbnb, kind of as a customer, and their job is, I mean, they make their money out of suing you because they found something in there and stuff like that. And if you look at every new field, okay, attorneys are jumping on it, and they convince customers to sue. So insurance companies,
Ay, ay, ay.
owners, stuff like that. So this is risks that a lot of people don't take under consideration.
Again, another reason for us to go against the attorneys.
Look,
I think they're already on the list for a lot of things, but yeah, I don't think that's right. I think that's wild. Like every time I go to an Airbnb, like I thought all my Airbnbs were great. I get a great score. I give them a great score.
yeah, but you're a good customer.
I know.
You're,
Why can't everybody just move?
You're
I
not
know.
a predator.
Just take it. Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
And my intentions.
And if you think about
I don't
California,
have bad intentions like that.
if you think about California,
Yeah,
that's the land of predators. That's the land of attorneys. Everything comes from
Yes.
California. So it's a lot.
For the bad.
Yeah.
For the bad
For the
seeds.
bad.
Yeah.
Or the good, whatever. But if you go into the middle of the country, you go to.
I hear all the hype. That's where we're all going. Like everybody's going to Midwest.
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
That was a trend right now.
Yes.
Okay. Now, investments over there are safer.
Yeah.
They don't appreciate as much
Yeah.
as.
It's all just for cash flow until we get
Yeah,
things ironed out over here. Like we need to get some rains. Like what's going on? Like all the laws, eventually, and laws can change. So just because we have our same tenant laws now doesn't mean we're going to have them the same way later. So, but a lot of people, yes, it's like if you're experienced still purchasing, or if you have additional funds, still purchasing in California, but most just can't.
Look, there are
They
areas in
can't handle-
California, for
yeah,
example,
they can't do it.
there are areas in California that are growing right now.
Yeah,
For example, Bakersfield.
yeah.
Bakersfield,
I hear a lot that eventually it will be like there's a lot of land out there that people are going to be developing. But like when do you actually see Bakersfield like taking off?
Bakersfield took off already.
Okay, but who's over there?
What do you mean? It was hospitals,
Okay.
factories, oil. There's a lot in Bakersfield.
Okay.
I mean, if you look for an area to start developing,
Yeah.
what
I've
I used
heard
to
that
do,
a lot,
What
like
I used to
Bakersfield.
do, I used to get the reports from that companies like Walmart, Home Depot.
They're all over there. Yeah.
They all do market search and to see where to put their stores in.
Okay.
So they do most of the work for you. So once you see that they are going there, or Amazon or something like that,
Yeah.
if you see that they are
That's
going
when
there,
you start
so
trailing.
then that's the beginning of
Growth.
the idea where to
Expansion.
develop, and then the price of the property. Because if they are building over there
Yeah.
or opening stores, that means that
I
they're
think
expecting
it's just
people.
more mentally for me. Like I can't. Like I lived at the beach for so long, so when I think of like living in Bakersfield, I'm like no. But I get it. Like I've heard a lot about like Bakersfield, like heating up with all the like a lot of development.
No, I'm talking about you're thinking like a
Because I'm
California
thinking,
girl.
yeah,
And-
I'm thinking to live there, and I'm like absolutely not.
Okay, but you're not
Yeah.
thinking as an investor.
Yes.
I mean, when you invest, your worst enemy is your emotion and your personal ideas.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would definitely have to.
You have to look at numbers,
Yeah.
and that's
Take
where the
out the
opportunity is.
California girl. That would be
Look,
tough.
if you buy based on your emotions, you're going to lose no matter
Yeah.
what.
That's true.
Emotional investment is the worst,
the worst.
investment. Ego investment is the worst investment. Let's say you go to an auction on a piece of property that is in foreclosure or something like that. And so you, in your mind already, you own the property. Then somebody else comes and give it a little more. And then somebody else give a little more. And now your ego comes in, I have to have it.
Yeah.
And then
And then now you're not
you
making
buy it in an
money.
auction that you're supposed to buy it at a discount. You actually overpaid for it.
Oh, no,
And
yeah.
the
So
next
now
day
your
you say,
numbers are all messed up.
what did I do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I totally get that. And let's go into, just to give a little advice. So with everything happening right now, so we'll just kind of wrap up here. For 2025, our investors, with material costs going up, like all of these different factors, and still rising rates. I mean, we anticipate that they're going down, but they haven't yet. So how do you kind of, are telling your investors to proceed? Like, what would be their best?
Look, we have,
or maybe like certain niche.
the niche is residential.
Okay.
Apartments.
Like up to 4?
Condos.
Oh, okay. Like multi.
Or even a single home.
Yep.
I mean, because there is a deficiency
Yep.
in residential. Residential
I've been seeing a lot of that. Building of condos and townhomes.
condos, townhomes,
And that could be
apartments,
anywhere, all over California.
apartments. Yeah, I mean, not everywhere. I mean, because we don't have a decline economy.
Yeah.
What I mean by decline economy is that people are living and well, it's way before your time. Today, Detroit is a hot place to invest.
I did get some properties from there.
But
Yeah.
I remember Detroit at the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
There were signs in Detroit that the last one to leave turned off the lights. So in Detroit. So and that's now we are 40 years after,
Yeah.
or more than that.
And now
the
it's a
place
hot
is
market.
blooming. It's a hot
And now-
market.
It just took 40 years.
Yeah, no, it didn't take 40 years.
Yeah.
I think it started about 15 years ago,
Okay.
20 years ago, that it started to rebuild. But between that time, the city used to give you free properties.
Mm-hmm.
Just do something with it. And you couldn't do anything with it because who are you going to do it for?
Yeah.
So I remember at the mid-'80s, I think,
Okay.
Texas, Houston,
Well, Texas
Dallas.
is still booming.
They used to, but in the mid-'80s, they used to demolish apartment buildings in the middle of construction because there was no money to complete the project. And if you complete the project, who are you going to sell it to, or who's going to occupy the project?
Just
Now we are
demolish.
going back into banking
Yeah.
because we, as a regular people, don't understand the state of mind of how bank is working. Bank is working different than other investors, and so the bank will lose on a piece of property or sell it at a huge discount just to the right person or the right entity, just in order to make a non-performing asset into a performing asset,
Yep.
because that's the most important thing to them. As a hard money lender, a non-performing asset is good for me
Yeah.
because I can buy it real cheap and develop something or do something with it. So we are talking about a very wide
Yeah.
field that if we go specific, we can digest or we can dissect
Yeah.
every situation. And if there is a problem, there's always a solution. Otherwise, there were no problems.
Thank you, Don, so much. I'm going to have all of his information below. Feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe. And if you need a consultant, pretty much any building development, if you're trying to get into buy, sell mortgages, any of that, Don is your guy.
And if you
Thank
get in trouble, just
Don
call
is
me.
Also, yeah, Don is also your guy. Awesome. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.